Now, in the online environment, and I love internet marketing, but in the online environment you need to provide more than you will in a stage environment, because in an online environment you've got competitors. In a stage environment you've got a small amount of competitors. If it's your own event, you've got no competitors. I used to run in Australia a 3-day internet marketing training which was just me. Okay, just me. I didn't want anyone else to speak on my stage, because then I had no what on stage with me? Competitors. So if I offered a program to move forward, there was only one option. That was my program. If you look at the events business, an event with multiple speakers on it will earn less than an event with one speaker on it. Now, you've got to do the math and say why. The reason is why enter competition, and people will get confused and they'll buy less. Take out the competition, they'll buy more because they're not confused. A single path of moving forward. Now, with your product, what I'm going to suggest is your product can be anything. It can be a video, it can be a training, it can be coaching, it can be mentoring, it can be anything you want it to be. Okay? Once we have our product, okay, now we have our product. Now we need to build our educational sale. So what we want to do is we want to get a part of what we know, a very small part of what we know, and put it into a piece of education. So that I can bring, and you can do this live or you can do this on a webinar. Webinars work really well for creating sales. Okay? The skill that you're learning now is not just a skill that you have to do in front of people, you can do it in front of just a computer. Okay? So you bring them into a room or you bring them onto a computer and you provide them with the education. Now, the more revolutionary the education, the more likely you get them to buy. So in my case, right, if I teach you a very advanced or maybe black hat or maybe kind of funky way of making money online, you're more likely to buy than I teach you a boring way of making money online. Okay? Because I've expanded your consciousness wide enough to make this work. So my educational sale, maybe Vince, when he comes up, will kind of talk a little bit more about this, but here what you're trying to do is to educate them on a couple of things. Firstly, on why. Okay? Why your product, okay, over here, why your product is needed, okay? You teach them the why. The basics of the how. Okay, the basics of the how. Why your product, and then how your product. Okay, so why your product is needed, how your product helps them in their life. Okay, once I create my educational sale, I then build my presentation. 6. Fill a room. 7. Now, in our industry, we just say you create one presentation a year, and that presentation every year should be what we call $1 million presentation. You don't change it until it's made its first $1 million. Okay, and this is funky, right? If you just do the maths on that, it says if I do 30 people in a room a month, at 3 people converted, at $12,000 a month, in the space of 12 months, I've created $144,000 in income selling my passion with a little bit of my knowledge, which I've productized and now presented. And the best part is, you actually love what you do, because you're on stage teaching your passion. This is what I love the most, right? You know, if you look at people that, you know, this year, very interestingly, I took a friend of mine, Dean, and taught him how to sell from stage. And he didn't have a product. So instead of getting him to make his own product, I gave him one of my products. Okay? He wasn't passionate about it as much as me, so when I sell it, I create greater sales than him. So even in an industry that he wasn't passionate about, and he won't mind me showing you this, in an industry that he wasn't passionate about, this year in the space of 9 months selling, he made $472,000 US, okay, in stage income. This is the great part for him, right, is that he didn't even have to build his own product. He wasn't that passionate about it. In my case, I gave him what I know and got him to use what I know to create the sales. So in some cases, right, I'm going to say this is the perfect formula. All of you need to get your own product. All of you need to follow your own passion. But if you just want to get into the business, you can start looking at what you can borrow or who you can work with to create this. You know, one of the reasons why we run an event like this is that it gets to a point, and this year Vince and I are at that point where there's too many gigs for us to go to, and not enough time. Have you got me? So this is what happens for me right now. I go to New Zealand tomorrow. I'm in New Zealand Friday and Saturday. I go to Melbourne, go to Sydney on Sunday, then Vietnam on Tuesday, and then Melbourne on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Where am I after that? I can't remember. But you can imagine, right? It gets to this point where that for me, that's great. Okay, I'm going to the cities that I want to go to. But imagine the amount of gigs that I've turned down. While I'm in Australia, right, there's 6 promoters I work with in Australia. While I'm in Australia, I can only work with 1 promoter. I don't have the time to go to the other 5. So what we're trying to say to you, right, is yes, you can create your own products and go through this cycle. But if you're actually passionate about educating and teaching people, and that's what your passion is, who's got that passion, right? Then what Vic and I are looking for, and the reason why we run an event like this, is people who have that passion, so we can train them how to become a speaker. Okay? And let me tell you, speaking and selling from stage is a trained process. It's a trained process. All of you, no matter where you are at in your life, can learn how to speak and sell from stage. No matter how scared you are as well. It's all a trained process. With that in mind, in fact, Vince hasn't been speaking as long as me, and he's here, and Vince and I do this together. So what he's going to do is come up and tell you a little bit more about the system that we're talking about, but also a little bit more about going from 0 to your first speak. So give a round of applause and welcome Vince to the stage. And he's not dressed as well as me.
I'm not. Alright guys, how are you doing? Good? Not there yet. How are you guys doing?
Great!
Alright. So anyway, it was quite a miracle to be here, to be honest, alright? You probably didn't hear my voice like this like a couple of days back or last couple of weeks. That's because I was just finishing the skate event with Shaun. And yesterday night I reached Malaysia, was about 12 something, and straight hit to the hospital. And the doctor said I have to give you steroids. Because before Phuket 2 days event, I was in Jakarta, and before Jakarta, I was in, I can't remember, I just thought steroids to be fact. But the thing is that from Jakarta to Phuket, and then tomorrow morning will be Surabaya, and then after that Thursday Auckland, and then after that Saturday in Sydney again, and then after that back to Melbourne, and then back to Auckland again. Practically the only time I get to rest is probably in Bali, in Christmas time, alright? So, I love what I do, and I love sharing on stage and talking about my passion about internet marketing and things like that. But what I really want you to know is, there's this one interesting stuff that I really want you to know is, how many of you have seen me speak before? I believe most of you? Alright. How many of you have any idea how long have I been in this business? Okay. Those who don't know, can you take a while guess to think how long have I been speaking on stage?
5 years.
5 years?
On stage or on?
2 years. It's about 14 months, 14 to 15 months, or maybe 16 months. Alright? So, if those of you who don't know, probably you are a bit surprised, or those who already know, but if I told you that, probably you're still surprised as well, alright? So, well, the thing is, you probably are thinking like, hey, we probably are a born speaker or things like that, but, in actual fact is that, yes, no doubt about it, I love to talk since young. Every day I'm talking, and then, my report card always filled with, teacher complaining about me talking too much, and then I can never stop talking after that. But, I've always been a very, they call me the nerd, right? Which is, always facing computer and don't talk to people and things like that. As I progress through, teenager and things like that, I don't really talk that much anymore. And then, what happened is that, it happens to be that the fact that I just love to do internet marketing and so on. And then only middle of last year, towards second half of last year,